This is J. Krishnamurti's first public discussion in Madras, 1969-1970.
I think there is a difference between discussion and a dialogue. A discussion is apt to become merely an intellectual, argumentative affair, one opinion against another, and so on. But whereas a dialogue can take place between friends who are interested in the same thing, inquiring, asking each other, exploring, questioning, trying to find out what is it all about. So, instead of turning this into a discussion, opposing views, opposing ideologies and intellectual concepts, I think it would be worthwhile if we could, as friends, and we mean as friends, who aren't opposed to each other, who isn't trying to interfere with your life, with your feelings, who isn't trying to shape your life, but as two good friends who are walking along a road, meet and discuss or talk over the various problems that each one has. And it's a very rare thing to have a friend. Most of us don't have friends with whom we can openly, with great affection and care for each other, inquire, talk about things that matter. So if you don't mind, let us establish that relationship between ourselves. I am not sitting on a platform with a certain status. That's merely convenience, as we said the other day. So we are sitting together, not in any argumentative spirit, not dialectically, verbally, intellectually, but rather talking over as two good and intimate friends who care for each other, who have great affection for each other. Talk about their problems. And talking it over, perhaps we'll be able to understand the problem. So if you don't mind, let us establish that between ourselves. This isn't a trick. This isn't a gambit. This kind of puts you into a kind of friendly state where you can be imposed upon. We are merely taking a journey together to find out, walking together. So, what shall we talk about together?
Can the fragmentary mind ever find out the whole?
Can?
The fragmentary mind.
I understand, sir. Can the fragmentary mind ever find the whole? Now, before we ask questions, if I may suggest, what is it we are trying to do? You put me a question, the speaker a question, or do you expect the speaker to answer that question? Or you put a question tentatively, hesitantly, and see what it means to yourself and to the other, and find out. Don't make a categorical statement, the can a mind, fragmentary mind, understand the whole. But if you say, look, what is the fragmentary mind? Inquire, sir, you understand? You're asking the question of yourself, not to the man who's sitting on the platform. He doesn't matter in the least. You're asking the question to find out for yourself by talking with another. So, the question is, if that is what you want to talk over, can the fragmentary mind or the fragment ever understand the whole complex structure of a whole field of life? There's the whole field of life in which is involved science, the relationship between man and man, sociology, various forms of activities, the battles, the violence, the brutalities, the guilt, the sense of oppression, all those are there. Can all that be understood in the sense, not intellectually or verbally, can all that be looked at or comprehended or felt or deeply sense the wholeness of all that through a fragment? Is that what you want to discuss? Talk over?
Instead of complicating our discussion by saying my mind is fragmented and I want to comprehend the whole, I wonder if it would not be better for us to take what you said. How are we to be a simple friend to everybody else? If
the questioner says, much simpler wouldn't it be to say, how can I be friend to you so that I can talk to you friendly? Is that it?
Yes, if that's
Yeah.
the beginning, then you...
Wait. So why are you here? To be instructed?
No.
To be told what to do? To what to think? Or how to think? Or we are here exposing ourselves, if we dare, I'm frightened of life. I have no love in my life. I feel terribly guilty. I'd like to talk it over. See, if in the very process of talking, the thing can't disappear. You understand what I mean? Instead of putting a very complex questions, can we do that? Establish between ourselves a relationship where we are not waiting for somebody else to answer our question, but exposing my problem, if I am aware of my problem, my difficulty, my sorrow, my boredom of this stupid, meaningless life that one leads. By talking about it, I may penetrate into something which I've never looked at before. Can we do that? Or are we so accustomed to be told what to do or what to think that we cannot put our own problems openly and look at them?
If I may expand a little, for example, when my children were very young, say up to 7, 8 years, I found there was more depth of friendship. There was communication. Whatever they said, I was receptive, and whatever I said, they were receptive. And when their mind gets conditioned, I find the distance is widening, and this is exactly what I thought I must mention to you by way of saying how to be a friend without any reciprocity.
The gentleman says when his children were very young, there was a certain sense of intimacy, closeness, but as they grew older, there was a greater space, lack of intimacy. There was parting altogether. Why does this happen? Not only with children, with friends, with wives, husbands, but the whole of life. Why do we do this? Is that right, sir?
Absolutely right.
Which do you want to talk over together? Do you want to talk over about meditation? No? Wait. That's one of the easiest escapes. Do you want to talk about the way of living? To live. Or do you want to discuss how does it happen that the brain cells, this is a little more complex, I don't know if you want to discuss it, that the brain cells which have been conditioned for millions and millions and millions of years, is it possible? These words are wrong, not possible how, but can this, the word can is wrong too. How does it happen? The how is the interrogation mark, not the manner, the method. How does it happen that these brain cells, which have been so heavily conditioned, can be transformed, can bring about a deep fundamental change in themselves? Do you want to talk over that?
Why do you say millions of years?
Gentleman wants to know why millions of years. Aren't you millions of years old?
My mind is as old as I am.
No. Your mind is the result of thousands of other minds. Thousands of other minds which have built this culture in which you live. The Hindu culture, the Muslim culture and so on. It's not your mind. Good Lord. Don't let's be proud of our little mind. It's the result of human beings who have lived millions of years. From the Sumerians, who were in Mesopotamia about 7,000 years ago, who had the same problems as you, the same battles, the contradictory life, the misery, the sorrow. And that has been going on. And that's your mind. So which is it that you want to talk over? Are you saying, madam, are you saying how to go beyond the duality? Beg your pardon?
It seems to me that a sensitive person must be aware of the agonies, the torture, the napalm bombs of Vietnam, the Biafra, and so on. How does one reconcile an awareness that this surely must be true because one should, it seems to me, take a stand?
I understand, madam, I understand. I don't know about taking a stand. We'll go into that. The questioner is asking, one sees in the world there is so much hatred, war, division. There is the Vietnamese war, the Middle East war, and so on. This duality, me and you, we and they. And can the human mind ever go beyond that? Not oppose this particular war or have your favorite war. You understand? But find out why, if it is at all possible for human beings to live without wars. Would that be right, madam?
I think that if one takes, for example, if one takes a stand against cruelty at any form, this means division surely in oneself, because one is being dogmatic about something. You know?
Yes. The lady suggests that one should take a stand against cruelty. In oneself or in the world, where do you begin this sense of cruelty? What does it mean, cruelty? Killing? Treating animals brutally? But dominating your wife and your husband? That's perfectly all right. Asserting yourself? Being dogmatic? Aggressive? So I'm asking, what is it you want to talk over?
The fact does not become my urgent problem. For example, violence. It is
not my urgent problem. It doesn't become urgent problem.
Violence doesn't become an intimate, urgent problem. Now, all right, all of us have a say. What would you like to discuss, talk over? Let's see what's the best thing out of this. Huh? What do you say, sir?
Is there any one particular thing? Is there any one thing that we can discuss that will take care of all of them?
Is there one thing that we can talk over together that will take care of all of them? Can we be free of all these things? All right. Can we do that, sir? Huh? Right? The lady asks, and perhaps we can come upon that, cruelty included, taking a stand against cruelty, against Vietnamese war, and so on, so on. Can the mind be free of all the human misery, the human brutality, violence, and so on? Can the mind be free at all? Can we take that? Right. First of all, when we use the word mind, we are using it as a comprehensive word, term, in which is included the body, the organism, the feeling, the capacity to reason objectively, not sentimentally, capable of looking. The mind is all that. And we are asking ourselves whether that mind, which is the result of time, of many, many, many thousands of minds and years, can that mind which is so heavily conditioned, can it ever throw off its conditioning? That is the question, right? Madam, do you agree to that? Yes. Good. First of all, it seems, one must be conscious of this conditioning, right? Before one can be free of it, or whatever that freedom may mean. Am I and are you aware, know, become conscious that you are conditioned? Do you understand that you are conditioned? Do you know it? Oh, no.
If we really know it, sir. Wait, look.
Do you know it in the sense you are familiar with it? As you are familiar with your hunger. Or do you know it or aware of it, conscious of it, because somebody else has told you? Do you understand? Somebody says you are conditioned. And therefore you say, by Jove, I am. And he points out in what way you are conditioned. And you say, perfectly right. That's one thing. Or you are aware of it through your own examination, through your watching. You are aware of it as you are aware of hunger. Nobody need tell you that you are hungry. So which is it? Are you aware that you are, or know or comprehend that you are conditioned because someone else has pointed out to you? Or are you aware of it because you have looked at the world, looked at yourself? Which is it?
Somebody pointed out, and then
Gentleman says, somebody might have pointed out, then I have examined it myself and found it so. Right? Look at isn't there a difference between being told and then confirming what you have been told by examination? That's one thing. And the other is to find that you are conditioned. It's the two are entirely different things, aren't they? Please, sir, let's go on. Aren't they? No? Huh? No. It depends on the result. Does it? You say the result. The lady says the result. Doesn't matter how you come to it. What matters is the result. Huh?
The result is self-examination and an acknowledgement that one is being or has been conditioned. Doesn't matter which way one comes.
That's entirely different, madam. Just a minute. Look at it. If you are told that you are conditioned and you discover that you are conditioned, that's one thing. The other, you find out for yourself. And therefore this has got much more vitality. A discovery gives you a much more passion to find out more. Well, you find out. Now, just find out for yourself, please, whether you are aware that you are conditioned because somebody has told you, and therefore by looking at it yourself, you have confirmed that you are conditioned, or you have looked not only at yourself but the world, at other people, the priest, the scientist, the professor, the clever person, and so on, so on, so on. And you see how, and you have discovered for yourself by looking that you yourself are conditioned. It's your own discovery. What? We're coming to that, sir. We are coming to that. First, let us be clear when we say we know that we are conditioned, whether you are merely repeating what somebody has said or you have found it out for yourself. Little bit, begin little, not the entire structure of conditioning. All right, so I see, all right. Now, one is conditioned, right? Obvious. Now, you say then, what am I to do, right? How is it possible? Can it happen that the mind can be unconditioned? You're asking that question, aren't you, sir? Huh? That is the question, right. Now wait, go slowly, sir. Go slowly. You find you are conditioned. As a Hindu, whatever it is, you're conditioned in a particular way, eating particular food and so on, you're conditioned. And you say, can there be unconditioning of this? Right? Right? Now, who is to uncondition it? But who is to uncondition it? Go slowly, sir. Huh? You please look at the question first. Who is to uncondition it?
The same condition the mind.
the same conditioned mind is going to uncondition itself. Is that it? Do look at sir, don't answer it yet. See the complexity of the question. Look, I find I'm conditioned as a Hindu or a Muslim. I am conditioned as a Muslim with a particular culture. And I hear that I am conditioned. I say, by Jove, that one must be free of that. Now, who is going to make it free? One part of the mind which thinks itself free and is going to uncondition the other part? You understand the problem? No? You see, you've read something the poor chap has said, and you're repeating it. Sirs, please, drop book. Don't repeat what somebody has said. Burn the books. Let us start as though you and I knew nothing. Oh, for the love of Pete. I'm afraid we do, from the books or from our own little potty little experience. So, look, I find I'm conditioned as a Muslim. And I see how absurd it is to divide myself against another human being who calls himself a Hindu. So I say, this is absurd. I must be free of it. Now, before I'm free of it, who is asking the question? Who is saying I must be free? Now then what will you do? If the question is put by the same conditioned mind, saying that it must be free, then where are you? Huh?
Again there is conflict.
You understand, sir? I discover that I am conditioned. So there is a part of me which has discovered that it is conditioned. Part of me. And that part says now, I must be free of it. Right? What is that part that says I must be free of it? Huh? The feeling? Madam, we are not talking of another being. We are talking of a mind, my Lord, that is, discovers that it is conditioned and says, I must be free of it. Who is the entity that says, I must be free of it?
That is the present soul.
What? The soul? Oh my. Gentleman says it is the soul. What is that word? Higher self? The Atman? Which is again your particular culture that has told you there is an Atman, there is a soul. If I am born in a communist world, I say, what nonsense are you talking about? Because he's been brought up in his own culture, which says there is no such thing as soul. There you are, sir, you look at it. You believe in a soul and the other fellow doesn't believe in a soul. You believe it because you're brought up in this culture and the other fellow is brought up in that culture. And so you are at each other's throat. Now it's exactly the same problem. I discover I am conditioned, and I say to myself, I must be free, and I ask myself, who is that entity that says I must be free? Huh? Your own experience, which is your memory. Huh? How you people... So one part has divided itself from the whole, and that part also is conditioned, and that part says, I must be free of the other parts. Right? Just look at it, sir. Don't agree or disagree. Just look at the fact. One is conditioned, one discovers it, and then one says, I must be free of it. The entity that says, I must be free of it, has separated itself from the rest of the conditioning and says, I must be free. But that entity that has separated itself from the rest is still a conditioned mind. Right? Now, wait. What takes place? Then, sir, don't jump into despair. How quickly you get into these cliques, these verbal statements. You have discovered, you have learnt that this duality has been created by separating itself from what it thinks is bad or good, and therefore it says, I must alter it. Right? Learn about it, sir. One part has separated itself from the rest, and that part says, I must control, be free of the rest. But one part is part of the other. Wait, then what happens then? Resistance.
One part of the other part.
Yes, same thing, sir. One part resists the other part. Put it in a way you like. And so duality, and therefore conflict. Then seeing that as a fact, what next? What, madam?
I said, I'm sorry. I said that was a $60 question. What next?
What?
I'm sorry. I was being. I had liberty. I said that's a $60 question. What next?
I'm asking that question. I'm asking myself, and you're asking yourself. I have found this. I've learned that one part separating itself, calling itself the soul, the Atman, the higher self, the etc., says, I must be free of that. But that part is part of the other. I have seen that. I see the implication of it, the resistance, the conflict. Then what is to happen? Does the mind remain with that? Do look at it, sir. Do look at it. It is not my problem, but your problem. Look at it. Huh? Sure, the gentleman suggests there is no next. Then what am I? There it is. Now wait, sir, watch it. There it is. One part opposing the other part. One part that opposes is also like the other. That's a fact. Not my invention. You can all look at it through the microscope, we will see the same thing. So what? Now, watch it. Do you tell the story about the fact, or the fact tells the story? Do listen, sir. Do please find out. Do I tell the story? Another part tells the story. Or because I watch because there is an observation of the fact is going to tell the story. It's going to move. It's going to expose itself. Is this clear, or is this?
Sir, it's not,
What, sir?
it is not as simple as that, sir.
No, I know, sir. It is but are you doing this, sir? Are you doing it, or just spinning words? Do you know you are conditioned? Do you know that one part of you says, I must be free of it? And also you have realized that the mind has realized that part is also the rest of it. Have you understood that? Have you learned that?
How serious is that questioning?
Oh no, don't go off. How
Excuse me, sir. If I may tell something more, 25 years ago I began listening to you, and when I listened to you, I felt I understood it, and I said, all right, I am not a Hindu from today, I am not an Indian from today, but then, so long as I don't resist it, and I conform to the whole thing, but even if I am separate by myself, it doesn't mean a thing. I go on, and how does it change, sir? See,
The gentleman says he has listened to the speaker for 25 years. Too bad. And he says, I realized that I am a Hindu, I must uncondition myself. And I partly play with it, and I'm still carrying on.
No, I don't do anything of what Hinduism prescribes to me. I just behave an individual. But so long as I conform to my family, to my society, all that, the other things impose themselves on me. I may not do anything, but I just carry on. But why do I do that? Or is there no escape from it?
Gentleman says, I realize I'm conditioned, I realize the difficulty of it, and I conform to my family, to the tradition, to the society in which I live. Right, sir? Conform. Which is what we're all doing, conform. Put on your whatever you do, all the rest will carry on.
No, all that I don't do, sir.
You don't do all that. Then what do you do?
No, I just don't discuss that at all with anybody.
Huh?
I just don't discuss my religion, my belonging to a particular part of the world anymore with anybody, but I just go on. But for all practical purposes, I am taken for granted by the society as belonging to them. I may not say I belong to them myself.
Well, sir, I don't understand this.
May I explain, sir?
I don't understand all this.
May I explain, sir?
Yes, sir. Be simple, sir.
Yes. See, I have been born a Hindu, and I realize that to be divided as a Hindu, as a Muslim, as a Christian doesn't serve any of my my very life. It doesn't serve. So for myself, I may cease to be a Hindu, but where does it take me to?
The gentleman says he has dropped all this, and where does it take me to? He's dropped his Hinduism, he's all the rest of it, and at the end of it, where am I? Right?
I want to socially say, where am I? I'm all right. But
Oh, for the love of God. He says he's perfectly all right at the end of it. It's all right, so let's get on. There's meaningless conversation, this.
Our problem is how to interpret life from an objective point of view, as you have mentioned, as a scientist looks through the microscope. We see the fact that we don't see the fact from our present
Here we are, madam. Just do. Does each one see differently the fact? Let's take that for the moment. Does each one see the fact differently? Look, if you are a scientist, and you are looking through the microscope, what you discover, you must convince the other scientists, mustn't you? They must see the same thing. Otherwise, what you have discovered may be your own imagination, your own particular fancy temperament, right? Now, can we look at the fact, please listen, at the fact that one part divides itself from the rest and says, I must be free. But that part that says, I must be free, is also conditioned, right? That's a fact, isn't it? Do you see that differently from me? From her? From him? The fact. Not what to do about it. That's a different matter. But the fact. Do you see it differently from that person? Or do we all see the same fact? We are taking for granted that you have looked. If you haven't looked, well, good morning, and that's the end of it.
That's not the point. Point is whether our realization, our knowledge about that is correct, or because
Somebody has told you, no, we've gone beyond that. We dropped that. We've said, let us take it that we ourselves have found that we are conditioned. And we have come to the point when we say, one part dividing itself from the rest of the part and saying I must be free is the same as the rest of the part. Do I see and you see and he and she it's the same thing? Huh? No? What? Why not, sir? What, sir? What, sir? Wait, sir. Are they? Sir. Look, don't let's be clever. If it is a good microscope, yours is not better than mine. It's a good microscope. It's an instrument of great precision. You can't say my microscope is different from yours. A microscope, mechanically functioning perfectly, precisely, is a microscope, not yours and mine. Wait, sir, you see what we do? We have introduced a fact that your microscope is different from mine. Therefore, what I see is different from what you see. Which means you want your microscope to be different. But good instrument, functioning properly, precisely, is not yours or mine. A good motor is not, it's a motor. You can misuse it, you can ruin it and so on, but it is a good motor. Now, do you and I and she and him see the same thing? Come on, madam. We see it differently. Why do we see it differently? Huh?
The fact is the same, but we see it differently.
the fact is the same, but we see it differently.
The fact is the same, but we see it differently. We interpret the fact differently. We are not interpreting the fact, we are merely looking at the fact. My.
You are, sir, but we're not.
No, it's not I or you. Do you look at the fact without interpretation, without judgment, without condemning it, without... You are looking at a fact, sir.
We don't do that. We look at the fact, and then our mind goes running, and we...
Then stop it. Stop it. Stop running, interpreting. We are both of us looking at the fact. What, sir?
Is the fact recognized and realized, sir? That is correct.
Is the fact realized, understood? Look, sir. Come on.
Without interpreting, how can we get the knowledge of things?
I don't, madam, before you interpret, I must look I must see what it is before I translate it into my particular idiocy. What is the matter? This is so simple, I cannot understand the difficulty of this.
Seeing the thing in the same fashion is same as deconditioning the mind. If everyone's mind is deconditioned, you can see it in the same way.
Sir, a scientist in his laboratory, looking through a microscope to find out, he has put away all his hypotheses, all his previous knowledge, all his emotional quarrels with his wife. He's put away all that behind him, comes to the laboratory and looks through the microscope. And you, another scientist, looks through the microscope. You also putting aside your family quarrels, your ambitions and all that. We both of us see the same thing.
Your microscope is different from ours.
It's just a question, surely, of a unit, which is a conditioned mind, being divided.
That's all.
Two units. One says, I want to be free, and one
But
says,
that's what we are, madam, that's what we are saying.
it's the same. It's a mathematical thing. It's a division.
That's what we are saying. What is the difficulty? And that gentleman insists that my microscope is different from yours and keeps on repeating it. It is really quite fantastic, and you're all supposed to be serious people. Now, then what is to happen? The fact, one division, I see that. The mind sees this whole phenomenon. And then what? You see, you're just stating without observing, madam. Huh? So difficult, really. Huh?
One discovers one can't do anything.
One discovers one can't do anything. Then leave it alone. You know, you're playing with words. You're not really watching that thing at all. This division has taken place. First, can this division be integrated? You understand? Can this division come together, make a whole? Right? Then the problem arises, who is to integrate it? What? Please see it. Circumstances, environment, some outside agency that's going to fuse it together, which is God. You follow all the rest of it? Can the two divided parts become one? Or There is no integration at all.
What divides us, sir?
If there is no integration at all, then what is the problem? Huh? Beg pardon? How?
How to integrate?
I just now told you, madam.
The problem surely is how.
I told you. If it is to be integrated, either there must be an outside agency which is beyond my control, right? Because if it is in my control, I'm part of that conditioning. So it must be free of all. It is an outside agency that must be totally free. Is there such an agency? And then don't shrug your shoulders, madam.
Well, it's only another way of saying I don't know. I don't know.
Wait, madam, you don't know. Therefore, you leave that. You put it aside. If you don't know, you leave it. Leave it alone for the moment. You leave it alone. Then, if there is no outside agency, then who is going to integrate this division? I don't know, I can't hear, sir. Yes, sir. Yes. Yes. Sir. Yes, sir. Is it a matter of fusion? Or is it a complete abandonment of any movement with regard to that fact? Madam, you have understood what I've said?
Yeah. It occurs to me that if one fuses, one still only fuses two conflicting parts.
That's right, therefore out with it. Let's forget that. If fusion is not possible, I said so, then what takes place? You see what we are doing? We are negating what is not possible. Right? Negating outside agency, negating the me that thought that could do something about it, the part separate, we have pushed that aside. We have said no circumstances, and so on. We have negated any positive approach to the problem. Right? Right? Have you done it? Otherwise you won't take the next step. If you haven't done it, you won't go to the next step. That is, has the mind which has seen this fact and has sought answers to that fact, says, this won't do, this won't do, this won't do, this won't do, this won't do. Now, wait, please go slowly. What has happened to such a mind? That has negated, that has said this won't do, this won't do, this won't do. What has happened to that mind? You see, sir, you don't even wait to find out, you give an answer. This is really a serious question I'm asking. Do give little attention to it. the mind thought it could go that way, and so blocked. It went that way, blocked, and so on. Now what has happened to the mind that has done all this? Oh, so. Through negation. No, madam, look with watch. Please watch it. Through negation. And first of all, why do you negate? Why do you say no? No outside agency. Why do you say it cannot be fused? If I say it, you'll agree with it. That's why I'm hesitant. What has happened to the mind? First of all, watch it, please. Give me 2 minutes. A mind that has been totally unaware that it was conditioned. It went on sleepily. Then somebody comes on and says, your mind is conditioned. So it wakes up and says, yes. Then it says, I must be free of it. And discovers that what the entity that says, I must be free, is a broken part. And then says, an outside agency must do this. And so on. A mind that has gone through all this, what has happened to it? Sir, please do it, sir. What has happened to such a mind that has taken this journey?
Become very energetic.
Huh?
Very energetic and active. Mind dissolves.
I will throw a lot of words in.
We continue to insist on interpreting the story instead of looking at the
That's-
story and letting the story tell.
That's what I'm trying to do, sir.
Wouldn't it be the part of the mind which desires to be free, which would be the part of the mind which would be seeking these various things and negating? But what's happened to the part
I'm going to show you in a minute, madam. Do watch it.
I am, but what's
Sir, please, sir. So there is only conditioning. There is no one part saying I must be free. There is only conditioning. And one part that has separated itself from that conditioning is part of that conditioning. Therefore it realizes it is conditioned whatever it does. Right? Whether it seeks an outside agency and so on, whatever it does, it is conditioned. Now, what has happened to the mind that has come to this? You just say things, sir. Do watch it, sir, please, for your own sake. Look, sir, I've joined this society, dropped that, and gone to another religion, another organization, and so on. Wait, madam, just a minute. And I say, by Jove, why am I doing all this? And I say, how stupid of me. Finish with all organizations, right? Because it has touched one and see the whole quality of it and dropped it. Now here, the mind has become aware that whatever movement it does is conditioned movement. Right? Wait, Whatever it does. Seeking an agency, not seeking an agency, this or that. Now, what is that? What is the quality of that mind? No, please, watch it. First of all, it has become extraordinarily sensitive, hasn't it? No, I'm not talking aware of something. It has become sensitive. Right? And no, you don't. No, don't use that word. Purposely, I'm avoiding that word. It has been asleep before. Now it has suddenly wakened up. That to the realization that whatever it does is still conditioned. Whatever it does. To come to that, it has become extraordinarily alive and sensitive, hasn't it? Huh? And therefore extraordinarily intelligent. Right? And please, sir. Huh? It has become intelligence. Either that intelligence is a process, which means time, or time is not the product of intelligence at all. Right? Therefore, the mind observes the fact and has seen the truth of it. And to see the truth of it is become extraordinarily sensitive and alive. Now, therefore, what does the mind do? With the fact. You follow? The mind has realized that it is conditioned. Whatever movement it does is conditioned. It is not a verbal statement, but the actual fact that it has awakened to this realization. Whatever movement it does. Therefore, the mind becomes extraordinarily sensitive and alive, and therefore very intelligent. Now, that intelligence is going to operate, not your intelligence or mine. You got it, sir? That intelligence now says, there is nothing to be done, it's finished. I don't know if you got it.
That intelligence is self-created because of...
No. No. Look, madam. The mind has been asleep. Either it awakens fully through time, that is gradually, and therefore gradual process doesn't bring a mind that's fully awake, right? Through time, the mind cannot keep awake or become awake. Huh? Therefore, mind cannot evolve except in its own pattern, in its own stupidity. So the mind says, now has realized all this and has become extraordinarily sensitive and therefore intelligent. Now when there is that intelligence, you follow, is there a conditioning? Conditioning exists only when the mind is asleep. When the mind becomes aware that it is asleep, aware, and knows that it cannot do anything about being asleep, it's already awake. Where are you at the end of this? No, madam. Not with me at all. What, sir? What? I'm sorry I couldn't hear, sir. Automatic. What is automatic?
Without any effort, just that I have become awake, he will have its influence upon all the bodies.
I'm sorry, I can't hear what you say.
When I get awake from
There is no you getting awake. You're always asleep.
the part of my mind gets awake.
So we've been through all that. One part cannot become awake.
Something has become awake.
The whole part, or there is no waking at all.
Let it to be whole, not part of it. But I need to say the change will come automatically. So this remaining parts also.
Now look, has this dialogue been any good? And you will go away saying, I'm conditioned, I don't know what to do about it. We have just discovered that intelligence, and what does that intelligence do with the fact? Intelligence has no fact. It is intelligence. You don't see it. It's only the sleepy mind that has this division and is worried what to do about this division, keeps on for the rest of its existence. What shall I do? What shall I do? What shall I do? Whereas from the very beginning to question the whole structure of its thinking. Madam, look, we are not trying to do something. We are trying to learn. The learning is the doing. In the doing you are learning. And here is something which is quite extraordinary if you learn about it. Look, we approach this fact with knowledge which we have learnt, right? I have learnt several things, and with that knowledge I approach this fact. And a mind that has knowledge about the fact cannot look at the fact. Therefore, first it must be free of the knowledge. Say, put it aside for the time being and look. And in the looking is the learning. And as you are learning, you are doing. It's not you learn and then do. As you are learning, you are doing. I don't... Oh, is the speaker talking Greek? Look, sir, let's put the problem differently. One has to live in this world. You can't run away from it into becoming a monk and sannyasi, or one has to live. One asks, if one is at all little awake, How does it happen that a life that can live without any effort, right, without any battle, how does it happen? Because for 20 million years and more, man has fought with himself and with his neighbor. And that struggle has brought about this brain and this mind. This mind is conditioned to battle, to fight, to be aggressive, to say, I'm right, you're wrong, this is my country and your country, battle, battle, battle. And one is asking a question, how does it happen that one can lead a life without any battle at all? Which doesn't mean one goes to sleep. How does that happen? And we say that can happen if you understand this extraordinary complex problem of duality, which is the me and the not me, the observer and the observed. Right? If you understand that, you have solved the whole thing. Understand in the sense, live it. You know, sir, when you look at that tree, that mango tree, which is an old tree, how do you look at it? That begin there, the most simple thing. How do you look at it? Is there a space between you and the mango tree? There is a physical space, right? There is also psychological space, right? You're following this? Please do psychological space. That is, I say that's a mango tree, I like mangoes, I wish for mango season, I like to eat, you follow? There is a psychological space between me and the tree. So, I look at that tree through the image which I have about that tree. Right? Now, that image is creating the psychological space. Right? Can that space disappear? The psychological space, which doesn't mean I become the tree, which would be too stupid, or I identify myself with the tree, but I see the tree without space. Therefore the tree has become an extraordinary thing. It's become alive, the beauty of it, the movement of it, the color of it, the shape of it. It is something fantastic, which I've never seen before. Therefore I'm looking at it with eyes that have never been hurt. No, you don't see all this. Can you do that? Do it. Not how to do it. If I were to tell you how to do it, you would practice it. Huh? The practice would be make your mind more dull than it is, because it will be mechanical, repetitive, and therefore it's nothing at all. But if you see the truth of it, the fact that as long as there is an image in the mind, which is the knowledge about that tree, either like or dislike, the verbalization, psychologically you must create a space. You, as you do, between yourself and your wife and husband and neighbor. An image you have about your wife, or you have about the husband. Therefore there is space between you and the wife and the husband. Now if there is no image at all, then the relationship is entirely different.
Living intelligently.
I'm not talking, I don't know about intelligence.
Living intelligently simply and innocently is the right thing I understand, and I try to live it all the time.
You can't live it.
And
You
yet,
see,
there
sir,
is so much conflict.
you see, sir, you can't live it. Ma.
This again comes to that space,
No,
sir.
it does not.
No, that space, how does it go?
It does
I
not.
want it to go, sir.
You can't let it go. You're not intelligent enough to let it go.
It's all right, sir. I admit that fact. Then how do I become intelligent?
Sir, look what you're saying. How do I become intelligent? You know the word become means, what it means? The word become, the verb. The verb to be, I have been, I am, I will be. The verb to be has enslaved the mind. Right? Because our culture, our religion, our society has said the word and the verb to be is the most important thing. Because when you use the word, how shall I become intelligent, you have already projected verbally intelligence in the future. You are not following it, you see. You have already projected the idea of intelligence in the future when you say, how shall I become that? Therefore, that is different from you who are watching it. Right? Therefore, the past can never become innocent, intelligent. All that can is to see whether you can observe the tree without the image. The image is the past. The insults my wife has thrown at me, the pleasure, the sex, the nagging, the indifference, the callousness, all that is the image I have built about her and she about me, the dominance, the suppression, all the rest of it. So that image creates the space between her and me psychologically. So that same way, I look at that tree and there is the image about that tree. Can the image come to an end? Can it drop away?
That's the main question, sir. No, I see that. No, I'm not trying to interrupt or disturb the meeting, sir.
Oh, you can disturb it, sir.
That is the question for me, sir.
All right.
Right now.
Wait, right now.
And it has been
Wait,
so-
sir. Forget what it has happened 20 years ago. You have that. That's your problem. Now, how do you drop that image? Right? What is the mechanism of that image? Can you say, please tell me, I will practice and drop it? So you have to find out what is the mechanism of the image, how the image is built. Right? Are you listening, sir?
I'm listening, sir, and I'm contemplating on that. For example, to be innocent.
No, I'm not bothered about innocence. I'm asking you, sir, please, sir. I'm asking you if you are listening to the statement, the mechanism of building the image. Do you know what the mechanism of building the image is? Huh? No. Do you know the mechanism of building an image? Very simple, so why do you complicate it? Somebody tells me I'm a fool. What has happened? I react because I have an image about myself. I am not a fool. Or somebody tells me, what a marvelous person you are. And I like that. I have built an image immediately, right? Either through flattery, through hurt, through pleasure, I have built an image. So when my wife, husband, neighbor, boss, you or anybody tells me I'm a fool, I listen. You follow? I listen. I listen very carefully. I give complete attention to what is being said. Therefore, there is no memory of it. If you call me a marvelous person, I also listen to it completely attentively. So the mechanism comes into existence. The mechanism of building the image comes into being only when there is no attention. And then you say, how am I to attain? Teach me the method. Go and jump in the lake. So, if you saw the operation of that mechanism, saw it, then you have finished with it. You follow? You know what to do. Then somebody insults you, somebody flatters, somebody says something, you're paying attention. Therefore you're watching. Right, sir? Will you do it? And not will you do it. That's wrong question. Are you doing it? Then be careful. Are you doing it after 25 years? Are you doing it? Not I will do it. When you say I will do it or I will try, you're already a slave to the verb to be. All right, sir.